Hello and welcome to Football is Life. I hope everyone's all right out there, staying safe. Make sure, as normal, we comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Come on, it's free to do. All right, big episode here as we round up the weekend's action. What a weekend in England. We had Premier League drama, FA Cup drama. Got a few predictions right and a few wrong, obviously, as usual. The FA Cup final obviously being confirmed. We've got a big week as well ahead now, midweek of European semi-finals to look forward to, which is, drawn up some unbelievable ties, which you'd expect at this stage. So we're going to go over them. Also, a big shout out, obviously, to Frankie Lamps and Coventry, promoted to the Premier League. And celebrated their success yesterday by lifting the trophy, and the party, at the Rico looked superb. So shout out to them. And obviously Rossignol has been sacked at Chelsea since I last come on. It was okay yesterday, wasn't it? It seems to have worked in terms of getting through to a cup final. But the bigger effect of that, I suppose. And also then we have something that's annoying me in football that I'm going to kind of bring up, or not annoying, but, a little bit of a loop that teams are using at the moment to get around, and what can we do about that? And more goalkeeping madness in Spain. So going to touch on that one very briefly as well. So we'll crack straight on weekend roundup. All right. Arsenal getting a massive win in the Premier League. A lot's been said about the Arteta celebration and the nature of scrapping through to a 1-0 win. But, this title does look like it could come down to goal difference. So, 1-0 might be enough, not be enough come the end. But you take the 3 points at this stage. You take the win, no matter how. Eze, special player, special goal, pulled a moment, that they needed in a big moment. And it's not easy. Newcastle at home, it's a potential banana skin yet again. If they'd have lost that on the weekend, it would have been, everyone would have said, well, that's it. It's Man City's league. So they've done what they had to do. They needed to do it. They've got 3 points. And at the moment, you'd probably just take the 3 points over the goals, hoping that, Man City have got all these games now, cup finals, etc., that they could slip up somewhere. So job done. Big win. I think it's probably their biggest win of the season at the most crucial time, no doubt. So totally understand the celebration at the end, just to get the 3 points, put the pressure a little bit back on City when they resume their league program. So, it kind of makes sense. Understand the celebration, but yeah, winning gritty at this time of year is what it's all about. It's not about winning your 4s and 5s. As great as that would be for your goal difference and your chances, 3 points is key in the last 4 or 5 games of the season. So job done for Arsenal, and a job well done, I think, at the end of the day, and an unbelievable finish from Eze to get them through that one. So big at the top end of the table, Then we have big wins also at the bottom. West Ham and Spurs. Spurs finally getting a win under De Zerbi. Xavi Simons has come off injured, and it looks like he's going to be out for the season, the World Cup. So gutting for him, gutting for Tottenham that yet another, one of their top players that they want at this stage of the season is out. But they've got the win, with West Ham winning at home late on 2-1. They really needed to win that. So yeah, big results for, all of the teams down at the bottom. It draws Leeds and Newcastle still, not mathematically safe. So, Newcastle, I can't see them getting drawn in. They're too far away, but Leeds are still mathematically really kind of, on that 40 mark that you usually look for, and it looks like, Forest, Tottenham, West Ham, they're winning games, and they're starting to win some games. So, that points total at the end could be vital. So I think Leeds need another 3 points from somewhere. And then Nottingham Forest, Friday night, really kind of setting that tone that, Tottenham had to win. West Ham win. Forest get a big magical 5-0 at Sunderland, and they look in a really good vein of form. And you would put your house on them staying up now at the moment. So it's looking more like it's between West Ham and Tottenham. Can Tottenham keep winning games in this difficult kind of running fixtures wise, and losing players? It's a big question mark for me at this stage. love De Zerbi, and I think Spurs are a massive club. They need some home results, but West Ham just look like they're going to keep winning. They're in a good spot, and Nuno Santo, he knows how to do this with teams in the Premier League. He's got a good amount of experience, and done good jobs in places over the years. So there's no surprise he's got West Ham firing, getting results. So I still make them favourites to stay up. I still make Tottenham favourites to go down. But it rolls on another week, and it's certainly going to be interesting. The FA Cup final as well is confirmed. We have Manchester City, we could say a lucky Man City against Chelsea. Obviously, a big shout out I did for Leeds. Really expected Leeds to, it was their chance to really have a good go at Chelsea yesterday, I thought. And just for me, if I was a Leeds fan, I'd be a little bit disappointed that, on the ball, they couldn't even get hold of the ball in the first 15 minutes, although they had the best chance. I mean, if Aronson scores that early on, it could have been a different semi-final, of course. But, Chelsea kind of had that possession dominance. And when Leeds had the ball, they couldn't really get out. I'm not a massive fan of Calvert-Lewin, but, he's been good over the years. He wins a lot in the air. He's a decent kind of striker to hold up the play. But every time it come up to him, it just seemed to ping off him. He couldn't hold it up. Chelsea bodies around him. And, Chelsea worthy winners in the end. And I just thought with Leeds, you've only got one chance. You're here. You're only 1-0 down. You've been lucky probably to be only 1-0 down, really going into the second half. Give it a bit more of a go. But it just looked a little bit dead and a little bit, for a semi-final, they didn't really bring it to the level that I thought Leeds had the opportunity to bring it against Chelsea yesterday. So disappointment there. Obviously, the great story of Finn Azaz scoring for Southampton, putting Southampton 1-0 up, 79th minute, semi-final. You're in dreamland, but City didn't panic, to be fair, did what they did, do what they do, and worked out those 2 late goals, and they go through. So interesting final. Like, comment and subscribe. Let us know. Comment now. Who is your FA Cup winners this season? Is it going to be Chelsea? Can they somehow muster up a trophy out of this season, with the changing of 2 managers? And can they beat Man City at the final at Wembley? They're certainly going to give it a go, I'm sure. But you wouldn't back against Pep and Man City to win. I mean, they could go from looking absolutely trophyless to a domestic treble, which, would be an incredible achievement. But it's an FA Cup final to look forward to, a good cup final. So, yeah, that's all confirmed. Man City v Chelsea. Who's your winner? And the last kind of real sort of shout out I want to give to last weekend is, a game that I kind of watched and looked at because, it's a joyous occasion. It was Coventry City back to the Premier League under Frank Lampard, who, is going to be a wanted manager. I mean, there's clubs and teams that are going to be looking for a manager this summer. And, I think he would stay at Coventry for what he's done. He kind of owes it to them probably to give it a year in the Premier League. But I thought Coventry looked a really, really good side. The attacking talent is good. Mason Clark on the left wing, a frightening talent. And I think he can cause defenders problems in the Premier League, to be quite truthful. But they look like they've got a good balance, even without Jack Rodoni from the weekend. They look good in midfield. They've got some experience in there with Grimes and Onyeka, and yeah, really, really impressed with Cov. And you can see why they've won the championship. They look a really good football team. Wrexham gave it a go on the day, but Cov did look a grade above them, and rightly in their position, and they got their day to celebrate. And back in the Premier League after 20-something years, I believe it is. It'll be interesting to see how they do. Let us know. All right, give us a comment. Can Coventry come up and stay up next year, or do you think they'll find the Premier League tough? It's certainly going to be interesting. Now, Chelsea sacking, I haven't been on camera since, and obviously they've played the semi-finals, but sacking Rossini after like 3-4 months. Question number one is, I suppose, if you're going to do it that quick, why appoint him in the beginning? Why make that judgment call that he's the man? And why sack him so soon? It just seems like it's another example of, I don't know if it's player power, players wanting him out, you know, etc. But these managers are just not given any time. And, you know, it's a big thing to appoint someone, 6-year contract, let them go, pay up a massive, you know, redundancy fee, and then be like, well, who are we going to go for now? The summer is, I suppose, the one thing for Chelsea is if you do get rid now, then I suppose you have got the summer. The summer is the best time you can go and attract a new manager, you know, of a certain standard. But, you know, I feel like they've got to get this one right. You cannot keep rallying through managers and expect just because you've got the talent that you're going to stay up towards the top end of the table. I mean, players are going to leave. It looks like Enzo Fernandez is a shoe-in to go to an elite level club, isn't he? A top level club like a Real Madrid. So yeah, it's for me it's too soon, but you know the writing was on the wall, not in good form, and I think just because he's not a big household name, it makes it harder to stay in that job if you're not doing well. You've kind of got to hit the ground running, win, or you're gone. But it's just a sad indictment of where football is. I think that you employ someone and get rid of them like 4 months later. It's so yeah, I can understand it both sides, but not good, and not good for consistency and long-term success. You know, that being said, they've got to a cup final, but can they truly beat Man City in a cup final without a head coach and an interim coach? You know, remains to be seen. But if I was a Chelsea fan, I would just want that continuity, that consistency, and that's what would be getting to me a little bit. And if you've got an elite players, elite squad, elite budget, go and get somebody top draw. Don't mess around with, you know, he might be good. There might be potential in this. Go and get a top 3 manager in the world. Give him the money and give him 5 years and stop all the nonsense and the messing around. Okay, another thing that's been well, it's been getting talked about a little bit, and it's becoming more into the spotlight. It's been happening for a little bit, a while now. And it's one of these things that I really don't know how you're going to get it out of modern football. They're going to have to change the law. And it's this goalkeeper tactical timeout. So one, it's being used for 2 things. The goalie goes down, and the current law is they can't be removed from the pitch. So it's clever from the clubs to have recognised it. But it's an opportunity, one, to stem the flow. You might be winning, drawing away from home or at home. A team's got a momentum. The goalie goes down injured. Totally stops. You know, I've watched games recently where I've seen evidence of this, where it stops the flow of the other team who are in a good spell. Tactical, goalie goes down, totally cuts that momentum out and resets the whole game. So it's clever, but it's got to be stopped for the good of football. And 2, it also then allows the coach to get all the players in. You know, this is happening, this is going wrong, tactical advice, get a drink on board. It's clever, but it's not what we want to see. You don't want to watch a game of football week in, week out on the TV, or go to the stadium. It's even more frustrating for those fans, where the game's being interrupted by these things. And then 4 or 5 minutes, you know, we saw it at Wembley yesterday. And I don't blame Ampadu, actually, for going over. It's not an official break. It's an injury. And he went and stood over by the Chelsea kind of team, and they got the hump. But fair play to him. I just think he knew what was going on, so he went over and thought, well, I'll have a listen to what you say. But it's one of those things. What can we do? Let us know. What can they do to change it? Is it a fact that maybe if the keeper comes down, you lose an outfield player for 2 minutes after that moment, and then obviously the teams would stop doing it, and that would just put it right to bed now? Or, you know, is it going to continue? So yeah, let us know. It's interesting. It really is interesting. But I'm sure the teams will find something. You'll get rid of this one and they'll find another loophole like they do. Yeah, it's something I think that's got to be enforced, and the sooner the better. And then on the subject of goalkeepers, I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, but the video of the Real Zaragoza goalkeeper in Spain, I mean, what is he doing? He's had a fall out of a player, pushed a player out. I mean, he's lost his head, and then he has just gone and punched the opposition's player right in the face. I mean, it wasn't the best, you know, want to kill a punch of a decent boxer, was it? It was a bit erratic. But I mean, he's just absolutely red mist. And I mean, check it out if you haven't seen it. Go. You know, it'll be on YouTube or on the telly. Go and have a look. It is quite extraordinary. You know, foreign football, Spanish football. You know, they're passionate, they're emotional. You know, they can lose their heads, as everyone can. But I just thought, you know, they've got to throw the book at him here. They've got to ban him. I think I've read somewhere that Zaragoza are going to ban him, maybe not play him again. But there's got to be, I mean, that has got to be like a 15-game ban. Just, it's got to be. They've got to set a law down there that, you know, the goalie can't just go and do that. But yeah, it's an interesting video. Give it a watch. So to finish up this midweek, we've got some huge games. I'm just going to look at three. The teams the two Champions League games, two Champions League games, and then the two games that involve the English clubs in the Europa. So we've got PSG now versus Bayern, Atletico Madrid versus Arsenal, PSG versus Bayern. I mean, the Bayern Real Madrid contest was epic, as well as the PSG Liverpool in the last round, and this is going to be some tie over two legs. PSG, probably what you would say favourites, the best team. They've won it. They know how to get over the line. They are elite. And Bayern just looking incredible this season. And could it be Bayern's year? Nobody would be surprised, I don't think, if Bayern didn't do it this year. If they did it, no matter how much you've watched, I've watched a bit of them now, they are class. So the big question is, over two legs, who can get through to this Champions League final? Because whichever team does, they're going to be the favourites. I'm certain of it. And I think the first leg, it's going to be one of those. PSG again, quick out of the blocks. Can they do it? Can they kind of get an advantage to take to Germany? Because I think they're going to need one. But I just have a feeling it could be Bayern's year. That could give them the kiss of death, obviously. But I've watched enough of Bayern to think there's a lot of resilience over two legs. And I think they can get something at Paris. Even if maybe they lose by one in France, they could turn it round at home in the second leg. They just have some really scoring power. And it could be just a trade off this, a real shootout. It could be an epic tie. But I'm gonna go PSG 2, Bayern 2. I just think it's gonna be a high scoring tie, and Bayern with the upper hand going to Germany. And then Atletico Madrid versus Arsenal. Now this is just a horrible tie for Arsenal. I think at the moment maybe playing an Atletico Madrid suits them a little bit. You know, they're very similar to Arsenal in a way, that defensively strong midfield, and then a couple of nice attacking players that can do the business. But these are two well-matched teams, and it's going to be a tight tie, I'm sure. And I think it'll be a draw in the first leg, and then it'll be up to Arsenal. Can you beat them at home and finish them off? But, you know, they could easily lose here at Madrid, and I think a draw, if I was Mikel Arteta, I'd be delighted with a draw. So I'm going to go for Atletico 1, Arsenal 1, and then looking forward to massive second legs in those ties in a couple of weeks. And then on Thursday, we have, just two brilliant semi-finals. Can we get an English club to the final of Europe? Let us know, comment who is going to get to the final of these competitions. Forest v Villa, an all-English semi-final. They've played each other recently. Forest have been great at home in Europe this season. Villa looking, again on the weekend, just not quite the Villa of early part of the season, but you feel like in a big game they can bring it when they need to, and I think they're probably holding something back for it. So I'm going to go another draw, and yeah, a 1-1 at the City Ground. Forest will be, more disappointed with that. Villa will be delighted to get a draw and take them back to Villa Park, but a big game to look forward to. And yeah, great game to talk about on the British podcast, no doubt. And then a really tough one for me. I just can't see Palace getting anything here. I'm sorry, Palace fans, but away to Shakhtar, first leg, is a tricky tie. I give you some hope at home, but I think if you can just keep this down low, even just a 1-goal deficit, a 1-0 win for Shakhtar or a 2-1 would be probably where I'd go with this. But I think Palace would probably take that, stay in the tie. You obviously want better. But again, at Selhurst, can you bring them home? and really get yourself back in the time through to the finals. So come on, let's hope, let's get some English teams through this week. All right, love coming back on. All right, stay safe out there. If you're going to a game this week, enjoy it. All right, check out the channel, Football is Life, and my other videos. All right, subscribe, it's free to do. All right, see you soon. Bye.